been a busy couple of days over in Washington, D.C. as President-elect Donald Trump's nominees for various cabinet positions get all kinds of questions from U.S. senators in the advise and confirmation process. Pretty fascinating to see some of those questions. Welcome in. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Hope to do a lot more coverage as well. It's not just what's going on in Illinois, but we'll take a look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. as well. So we may start doing some separate segments focused on national news. But let's get into it. Pete Hegseth, former Fox News contributor, but also a former member of the military. He's been nominated to be Trump's defense secretary. And on Tuesday, U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth from Illinois grilled Hegseth on the issue of audits.
Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Senator, in both of the organizations I ran, we were always completely fiscally responsible.
Yes or no? Did you lead an audit?
And the way
yes
my
or no?
has
Did you lead an audit?
stated
Yes or no?
Been completely
what are you afraid of? You
mischaracterized.
can't answer this question. Yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every
yes or
part
no?
of my leadership
yes
of these
no?
organizations
yes
has
or
been
no? Did you lead an audit?
misrepresented
I will
from
take
top
that as
to
a no.
bottom.
Now, Duckworth wasn't the only person pretty forceful with the questions. There were other senators asking pointed questions to Hegseth, and somebody on X posted this meme kind of encapsulating all of those put together with a kind of calm Hegseth sitting right in the middle.
Yes or no? Did you lead an audit? Yes or no?
Veterans organizations that will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line.
Yesterday was also a busy day. You had the Trump nominee for Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She's a former two-time Attorney General down in Florida and also a Trump ally. But the hearing really started off with both sides, Republicans in control of Senate now, but also Democrats concerned about the weaponization of the Department of Justice. You had Chuck Grassley talk about the Biden administration focused on the Trump campaign, but you also had Illinois U.S. Senator Dick Durbin talk about the issues that he saw under the former Trump administration.
I know, as other people on this committee and in and out of Congress know, what government weaponization is. And then we get to Special Counsel Jack Smith and his lawfare operation. It involved an unprecedented FBI raid on Trump's house, including agents that even searched the former First Lady's clothing drawers. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden certainly did not receive the same treatment by government regarding their records. Indeed, as my oversight exposed, the FBI amazingly agreed to destroy laptop records and records associated with Clinton's staff. This Orwellian conduct should have no quarter.
In short, the Attorney General has real impact on America's everyday life. It is critical that any nominee for this position be committed first and foremost to the Constitution and the American people, not any president or political agenda. But President Trump claims he has, quote, an absolute right to do what he wants with the Justice Department. And that's how he conducted his first term. He interfered with the criminal cases of his friends and allies and successfully pressured DOJ to investigate his rivals. He even tried to use the Justice Department to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The president-elect made it clear that he values one thing above all else, and he said it over and over again: loyalty.
But then it got to some questions and answers where Senator Durbin asked several times, as other Democrats did of Bondi, to reflect on the election from 4 years ago and whether they think that Trump beat Biden or if Biden beat Trump.
Are you prepared to say today under oath without reservation that Donald Trump lost the presidential contest to Joe Biden in 2020?
Ranking Member Durbin, President Biden is the President of the United States. He was duly sworn in, and he is the President of the United States. There was a peaceful transition of power. President Trump left office and was overwhelmingly elected in 2024.
Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat from Rhode Island, he asked Bondi about the weaponization of government.
It would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward, or we're going to lose our country.
Ultimately, Bondi said that she's going to bring integrity back to the Justice Department. She's going to focus on the opioid epidemic to hold opioid manufacturers accountable. She's going to focus on ending human trafficking and border security. But she's also going to recommend to the incoming Trump administration that Mexican drug cartels are terrorists and should be treated as such. Other things that Bondi discussed included focusing on antitrust issues, but also looking at the issues that make the Department of Justice function properly, again, with integrity, saying that if the integrity is not restored, then there's going to be serious problems within the country. But Bondi wasn't the only one being questioned in the U.S. Senate yesterday. You had John Ratcliffe. He's going to be the CIA director under the Trump administration, and he talked about the threats under Russia and the threats from artificial intelligence.
So Russia is very clearly an adversary of the United States. The threat, of course, is a country with a very large nuclear stockpile. The thing that separates the threat from Russia from China, in my mind, and why I put them, even though we include them in the great power competition, is that the United States is the largest economy in the world. China's the second largest. Russia has an economy that's roughly the same size as my home state of Texas. So what that means is that the Russians have to decide where they're going to compete with the United States. And so they've chosen areas like hypersonics and other areas, but that comes at a cost. These threats converge at a time of rapid technological change. Emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing will define the future of national security, geopolitical power, and human civilization. Ubiquitous technical surveillance is presenting unprecedented challenges to one of the CIA's core missions, collecting human intelligence. In short, the challenges are great and increase the necessity of confirming a CIA director who is prepared on day one to take them head on. For roughly a quarter of a century, I have devoted my professional life to U.S. national security.
Also, a separate hearing yesterday, Sean Duffy, another former Fox contributor, he has been tapped to be the transportation secretary under the Trump administration. Here's just some of what he had to say.
And I think you make an incredibly important point, which is this is not just a wonderful technology that has a potential of making our roads safer, but this is a national security issue. We can't fall behind China or other countries as it comes to AV technology. Right now, we have a patchwork of laws from state to state. I believe there has to be a federal law by which all of these innovators can abide by, no matter if they're in Texas or in California or somewhere else.
And then you get former Florida U.S. Senator Marco Rubio tapped to be the Secretary of State. He was also questioned at a separate Senate confirmation hearing yesterday as well.
It took far too long for the State Department to designate Mark as wrongfully detained by the Russian government, and was really a gut punch to many of us in Pennsylvania that Mark wasn't included in the swap last year. So, Senator, will you commit to working with me and others in our delegation to make Mark's return home a high priority?
Absolutely. And in fact, I've been involved already. I've met with those families as well. We've had conversations about this. And there are two things I'd point to. Number one, this is a ridiculous case. I mean, this is an American that clearly there was an order given at some level that if you see an American and you have anything you can charge them with, let's charge them and let's collect these because we can trade them in the future for something. There's a global market for this now. And it's one of the challenges of the 21st century. There is now an active global market for detaining Americans wrongfully in Venezuela, in Russia, in China, or somewhere else, Iran, and then using them to trade for something they want in the future.
So there you have it, a lot to cover there over in Washington, D.C. Still a lot of confirmation hearings expected, some this week and into next week, but Trump will be inaugurated Monday. So it's a new era in the United States. We'll see how all that plays out. And again, surely you can keep updated with what's going on here in Illinois, but you can get other headlines from across the country at thecentersquare.com. So get the headlines in your inbox each and every weekday morning. And join us here for Illinois in Focus Daily with America's Talking Network.